How was the weekend? I hear a lot of stories, and I've been listening to a lot of people. And they're like, "Oh my God, what a great weekend! Easter was amazing." I got to tell you, we had kind of an interesting weekend here. We had some weather issues, shall we say, and there's a couple of things that I found interesting. I was talking to Lewis about this yesterday. He called. He wanted to just chat and get caught up on things, and I said, "Well, this is really interesting because the day started out." We knew we were going to have a storm on Saturday. So we kind of knew rain was coming on Saturday. And they kind of said Saturday night it'll be gone and there won't be any rain on Sunday. Okay. Why aren't the meteorologists that accurate anymore? What's going on? Every time I look at the weather, it seems to change almost by the hour. So what happened Sunday is not only did we have rain pretty much the entire day, we had thunderstorms, which if you live in Southern California, you know is a rarity. I know on the East Coast, it's every day at 5, you got a thunderstorm. I get that. I've lived on the East Coast. I'm from the East Coast. I know that weather. But out here, rarely do you ever see thunderstorms. So we had that, and then we had hail on top of it. And I thought, wow, that's really interesting. That's something different. And I can go back a few Easters too. And this is in 2010. So we're going to talk about that in a minute, but I want to show you this photo too before we get into it. This is Highway 101 in California. Oops. Kind of lost part of it there. Oh, there's a lot of rain. We had a lot of weather here. So that's just one of the other things. And this was a photo I took a couple of days prior. And there's a double rainbow there. You can see the other rainbow at the very top, and it's sort of faded, but it's like a double rainbow that came out, and it's a front yard. So kind of interesting. You never really know what you're going to get this time of year. But tomorrow, let you know what's happening tomorrow. Tomorrow is National Gray-Haired Grumpy Old Man Day, and I expect recognition. Of course, I'm not that grumpy, but other people might be. We have to have our day too, right? All of us need to have a day. Oh, all right. So let's get into this visibility day of Trans Day of Visibility, I think is what they called it. So I went in, I had to look at this because I saw a lot of people getting terribly upset about this. I mean, like really riled up about it, right? And it didn't rile me in that way. Yeah, okay, it's Easter Sunday, with the holiest day in the Judeo-Christian calendar. I get it. I'm Catholic. I grew up Catholic. I know, I understand. Certainly you don't have to school me on this. I know. So what was this about? That's interesting, right? What was it about? What were they trying to tell us? Well, here's the Trans Day of Visibility. Each year on March 31, on the surface, that's what it looks like. Everybody kind of missed this. Everyone said, oh, they're bashing on Easter. Yeah, they are. They decided to highlight this on Easter, although the days are the same, March 31st. It just aligned this year. And this was started in 2010, so we're 14 years in. This is the 14th one. I've never heard of this holiday before, this celebration. Okay, so they laid it one on top of the other. So now the question you have to ask is, why did they highlight it so much? If it's been there, we've never heard of it. It's never popped up in mainstream media before. Why all of a sudden? What's the deal? Let's go back to 2008. Obama gets elected. Are we, as a society, closer or more divided during the Obama administration? Clearly more divided, right? The racism flipped, really did. And it divided us. And you look at what society became, it became very challenging. It became very divisive. It was better under Trump, yeah, but there's a lot to heal. If they really cared about this group that's already saying they're being discriminated against, they're in poverty, they're being represented as violent, right? So if they really cared about them, really cared about them, would they put that up front and center on Easter Sunday? My guess is no. My guess is that's the worst possible thing you can do, because what happened yesterday? Did the Christians rebel? Oh, yeah. Against that group? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. There was a lot of anger, right? And we saw it. So was that to bring us all together, or was that to divide us again and as a pawn in the game. I mean, to me, this is what this looks like. You can certainly disagree, and if you have a different opinion, I'd love to hear it, because it's kind of interesting to see that they took this group, put them front and center, literally put them on the firing line. I mean, that's what they did. They said, stand there, and everyone's going to be firing their insults at you. They're going to hate you even more than they did before. So you're trying to help with their the way they're perceived in society. You're trying to gain more acceptance, and you do the exact opposite of what it would take to get you there on Easter Sunday. The majority of this nation is Christian. The majority. I don't know. Tell me I'm wrong with this, because that's what I see it as. And I didn't get upset about it, because Easter is what you make of it. Christmas is what you make of it. New Year's is what you make of it. Happy New Year, by the way. April 1st, first day of the new year, right? So I don't want any government agency, I don't want any group to ever tell me what the holiday should mean. The holiday means what it means to me. My tradition, what I grew up with, your tradition, what you grew up with, that's what it means. Some people, Easter Sunday is ham, right? Thanksgiving is turkey. Christmas is either a turkey or, in my case, lasagna. Right? That's what my family made. So whatever it is to you, it is. And nobody can take that from you. So I don't get upset about them. Oh, they're trying to change the meaning of it. Go ahead. Never going to change it for me. Never going to change it for me. It is what I say it is to me, and that's it. And I'm not ever going to try to change your mind, because that's exactly what we accuse them of, right? I'm not going to say, hey, you're not doing Easter right. This is the way you need to do Easter. I don't care how you do it. If it makes you happy, you put a smile on your face. Whoop. Hey, we're all good. No problem. I'm just saying, don't let it upset you. It's a game, right? It's all a game. They want you upset. They want you angry. They want you to hate this community that they put on the firing line. They want that. I can't see it any other way. Maybe there's another way to look at it. I can't see it any other way. Anyway, we go on with this, and our beloved dear friend Pelosi marks Cesar Chavez Day and Trans Visibility Day on Easter Sunday. Sometimes you just can't make this stuff up, right? I don't know, she's celebrating Cesar Chavez, a Marxist, and she's supposedly a Catholic, and she's doing this on Easter Sunday. You have to wonder. And when I see this, I go, okay, this person grew up Catholic. This person has a set of morals, or should have a set of morals. Why would they step outside of that? What's the pressure on them? Who's telling them to do this? What have they been indoctrinated into? Right? So just some questions we don't know. What would cause them to be this way and talk about these things? And, you saw Newsom come out with his wife, and if it's the real Newsom, we don't know, coming out and talking about it too. And it's like, oh, part of the narrative. I'm not buying it. There's a lot of things that could happen, a lot of things that should happen. I'm just not buying the narrative that they're trying to sell us. I'm just not going to buy it. So Easter is Easter. Easter will always be Easter. Easter will be what you say it is, what I say it is, based on our religious beliefs, based on our upbringing, based on tradition, based on whatever. And they can't change it. They think they can, but they can't. I mean, just look at any communist country. They ban religions, but what you find is people who have religious beliefs still practice their religions in private. They practice them in the dark, right? Sometimes, because they don't want to get caught, but they still practice. Doesn't change. You can't change a person's belief systems. So if you've got upset over this, I get it. I understand. But realize they're just trying everything right now to divide us. And the truth of the matter is always the same. Lewis is working on a unity project to bring us back together. Forget about the political divide. Forget about, all this other stuff. Humans are humans. People are people. And Tony Robbins always taught this. He says, at their core, all people are basically good. It's just their behaviors sometimes, the things they've learned, the things they're doing. Some people act out of desperation, fear, whatever. Their behaviors kind of suck, some of them. But at the end, if you go to their core, they're basically good. People are basically good. And it's just what they've been exposed to in their environment and so on. And we got to get back to that. We got to start realizing, it's like we can put people up. I mean, of society has all of a sudden decided that they are that in the past, 5, 10 years, when all of a sudden this has become popularized. It's a thing to do. They've been indoctrinated. Feel sorry for them. They're lost. They have no idea when they look between their legs, what they see down there is the key to life, right? Without those parts, where's the human race, right? We can't procreate. They don't realize what a gift that is. And they're being taught to hate it and to change it and to mutilate it. Again, depopulation agenda, right? It's all part of that game. So they've been played and they get played again and again. So I have a heart for that. I feel sorry for these people. I wish we could sit down with them and give them a little bit of encouragement and say, guys, it's not so bad. Having the parts you were born with, they're okay. Those are good parts. Just learn to use them in the right way. And it's one of those things that just frustrates me, really frustrates me, because you can tell when you start to see it this way. The government does not care about you, does not care about me. They don't care about any one group other than themselves. Nothing else matters. And this is why there's so much discontent in society. Because if we turn to the government to do the right thing, we're always going to be disappointed. Who's going to do the right thing? Come on. Who? Me? You? We're going to do the right thing. Of course we are. And we need more of us to step up and do the right thing and stand above the nonsense. And we'll be okay. We will be okay. All right. We have a special treat for you today. My dear friend Lisa is with us, and she's standing by, eagerly awaiting to share with you something that I'm also a big believer in. So, Lisa, come on in.
Hi, Robert. Nice to be here
Good to see
again.
you, my dear friend.
Colloidal silver. No,
Oh, tell
April
me.
Fools. Just kidding. But it does feel a lot of things, and that's what we're going to talk about today.
Okay. The floor is yours. Take it away.
Awesome. Give me a second here. Okay, so you guys, colloidal silver is something I'm really passionate about, and I know it can help so many people. But I want to start with a little disclaimer. As I am not part of the Rothschild Sick Care System, otherwise known as the American Medical Association, the following material is not considered medical advice. This material is information I've gathered over the past 11 years through my own experiences as well as research. As previously stated, it is not medical advice, but I do advise you to take control of your own health. Don't leave it in the hands of those who profit off of your sickness. So, what is colloidal silver? It's actually a natural liquid supplement made of distilled water and nanoparticles of pure silver. It's one of the most powerful infection fighting agents on the face of the earth. And it can be found in practically every health food store, chiropractors' offices, and alternative health offices. Colloidal silver is antibacterial, antifungal, antiviral, and antiparasitic. And it's made through an electromagnetic process which pulls microscopic particles of silver from a larger piece of silver, which is immersed in distilled water. So it's mainly just very small particles of real silver floating in distilled water. Now, very high quality colloidal silver will be microparticle in size, which means only a fraction of a single nanometer, which is smaller than a pinprick. That's how small the silver particles are. Now, why does size matter? Nano size silver is more bioavailable, which means it's more absorbable to the body. More bioavailability also means you can take smaller doses. You don't need the 1,500 parts per million like a lot of these people like to promote. Nano sized silver is evenly divided, which means the particles are so small that you get more even when you drink less. So this is why only 10 parts per million is recommended. 10 parts per million. And most of these ones that are these companies that are selling it are selling way higher parts per million, which is just not needed at all. Nano size is also more effective against pathogens, and size also matters because You don't want to turn blue. Okay. So I forgot to upload the picture of the blue man, but there's actually a man whose skin turned a blue gray color from drinking too much colloidal silver. And when you look up colloidal silver on Google, the very first thing you're going to see is the blue man, and they don't want you to turn blue like him. They call him Papa Smurf because he has a white beard. But don't believe the propaganda, guys. Okay. First of all, when you Google something, even though it's the World Wide Web, you think that you're accessing, you're not. Google is only the information that the United States wants you to know about. So use a proxy search engine like Yandex, um, Brave browser, different browsers like that. You'll have more information that pops up. So don't believe the propaganda. Colloidal silver should be clear, not milky. And the blue man, okay, he claims to have added salt to the water to speed up the process, which actually doesn't make colloidal silver. It makes the particles of silver a lot larger. And these particles collect in the liver and cannot be removed from the body, whereas small nanoparticle colloidal silver will be flushed out of the body within 24 hours. Okay, so this is part of the propaganda they like to promote. When these larger particles of silver collect in the liver and you step out into the sunlight, it's like developing a picture. So the blue man, his skin turned a hue of blue gray when this happened. But he also drank a beer glass, 16 ounces of colloidal silver per day for 15 years. Can you imagine? And even though he turned blue, he said he would do it all the same because he did not suffer from any other health issues, even though he was a heavy smoker. And if you do research it, you will find he passed away when he was 62 of a heart attack. But it's most likely caused from his stress and loneliness that he was going through in his life because he was homeless and heartbroken at the time. So just keep those things in mind, guys. Don't believe the propaganda. But I've been taking it for 11 years, so I want to share some of the things that I've experienced with it and some things other people have as well. So another reason to not believe the propaganda, and on top of that, they're not even allowed to share any new information or new research as it becomes available. So this is how our government so-called protects us, right? By hiding information that could greatly benefit you. We need to start holding them accountable in a lot of ways, right? But one way that you can do this is to take control of your health. So, what are some of the things that they're hiding? Well, the antibiotic resistance that they created, for one. 90% of the antibiotics in the US go to our farm animals because they're so sick. We eat the eggs, the meat, and the dairy of these antibiotic loaded animals, and now we're antibiotic resistant. So then you get sick, you go to the doctor, they prescribe an antibiotic, and it doesn't help you. You go to the doctor again, another antibiotic, a different kind this time, and it still doesn't help. It's a repetitive cycle. And a lot of people are going back to the doctor 3, 4, 5 times for different antibiotics and staying sick for months at a time now because of this antibiotic resistance that we suffer from. And with each dose of antibiotic, otherwise known as your immune system. So what are they hiding? Maybe the fact that colloidal silver does the job the first time and it boosts your immune system instead of harming it. So that same thing actually happened to my mom. She was sick numerous times. She was heading to the doctor the next day for I think her third round of antibiotic, and she was still super sick and had been for a couple months. And I explained to her what the colloidal silver was and how to take it, and by the next day she was better. By the next day, she was almost 90% better, I would say, almost 100% better. And her doctor was just amazed. But of course, they don't ask you what you did to get better, right? They don't want to know that part. So I want to show you guys some of the benefits of colloidal silver because it can be used for so many things. It's just crazy. Okay, so abscesses. If you have an abscessed tooth, for instance, or a wound that's abscessed, put some colloidal silver on it. It's been known to help with AIDS, athlete's feet, bed sores, bladder infections, bronchitis, Burns. Now, burns, they actually use silver in the burn ward. I'm sure you guys have seen that burn cream that they have in there for severe burns. So like if you have a pet or even yourself, you have an upset stomach, food poisoning especially, it'll get rid of that almost instantly. So, if you can get some colloidal silver down, that will really benefit you. Ear infections. If you have an earache, put a couple drops of silver in there and let it sit for about 5 minutes, and it'll be better very fast. It helps with hearing loss, influenza, jock itch, Lyme's disease. I have two Lyme's disease stories I want to tell you. One I'll tell you right now, but my cousin has Lyme's disease very bad, and colloidal silver is the only thing that makes her feel better. And she swears by it. Pink eye. If you have pink eye, put a couple drops in your eye, it's going to be gone the next day. Pneumonia, STDs, shingles. I had a friend whose daughter had shingles really bad. She got her some colloidal silver and her shingles went away. Painful shingles went away. Sinusitis, sore throat. If you have a sore throat, just gargle with some, take some internally as well. Sunburn, goes back to the burn ward. Same thing. I always put some in a spray bottle and just mist it on my sunburn. Your skin will still have the tint of pink or red to it for a day, but it instantly takes the pain of the burn and it won't peel. Your sunburn won't peel. Tonsillitis, tuberculosis, vaginitis. I had a friend who had bacterial vaginosis, and she was on several different antibiotics, had been suffering with it for almost 6 months. And I gave her a jar of colloidal silver, and it's the only thing that made her better. She was better within a week. Warts. I had a mother whose son would get not only warts, but ringworm from wrestling all the time. And her chiropractor told her to try colloidal silver on her sons, and it worked for both the warts and the ringworm. Wounds, of course, it helps the wounds heal a lot faster. You can also use it for sterilization. Some hospitals actually in other countries use it to sterilize their whole entire hospital. You can use it as an odor eliminator, and it's so powerful that it actually kills the smell of cat urine. So, how many people have an area where the cats, even like the outside wild cats, are spraying constantly all the males? You can pour that colloidal silver on there, it will eliminate that smell, and they won't come back and spray in that area anymore either. You can substitute for salt when canning. So anytime I can, I just put a splash of colloidal silver in there and I don't have to use the salt. It clears your skin up. If you have acne, put some in a spray bottle and spray it on your face. You can add it to juice and milk to prevent spoilage. And actually, farmers used to use this technique a long time ago. When they were milking the cows, they'd toss in a silver dollar to keep the milk from spoiling. You can use it as a natural deodorant. How many of these deodorants are harmful? They have the aluminum in them. And even if you're um, with the more natural deodorants, you want colloidal silver, I think, is a better option because it's not going to plug the lymph system it needs to drain in those areas for you to heal properly and to eliminate the toxins in your body. So just getting us like a colloidal silver spray, you can add some essential oils, spray that in there too, or add that in there too. It also helps with dandruff, psoriasis, and rashes. It prevents fleas, and that's something that I discovered by accident. I started putting it in my dog's water bowl to boost their immune system, and I realized that we had no fleas anymore. No issues with fleas at all. And this was during a time when the fleas were really bad. So even though it helps with fleas, it does not help with ticks. But I also got um, the benefit of knowing that they had that natural antibiotic in their system if they did get bit with a tick. So it did help with tick prevention in one way or another, or Lyme's prevention, I should say. It prevents tooth decay. If you have a toothache, which is a little down the list here, but put some in your mouth and hold it on that tooth, and they actually have some woods now that are infused with silver to prevent termite infestation. Isn't that pretty cool? It's also used in plant soil to eliminate bad microorganisms like those pesky fleas, those soil gnats. That's what you can use it for. You can use it as a foliar spray to stop fungus and other diseases as well. You can also use it in your swimming pool or your jacuzzi instead of chlorine. You know, how harmful is that chlorine in your swimming pool? And that's not all. This is the last slide here, guys, but you can spray on standing water to stop mosquito larvae from hatching. Like, woo! Uh, how many people are like in a mosquito magnet? So here you go. If you have standing water around your house, just put some colloidal silver in it. You can add to your aquarium to prevent algae growth and promote health of fish. You can use it to eliminate scent on your clothes before hunting. And if you look at the back of all those hunting scent eliminators, they usually have colloidal silver in it. And you can make your own for pennies if you have your own generator, where a lot of these are $8, $9, $10 a can or more. You can use it to get rid of cat urine smell. Like I said before, you can use it with your neti pot for nasal irrigation. Use it in your humidifier to sanitize your home and keep your family healthy. Spray it in your air filters. It also gets rid of cockroaches for similar reasons as the termites. You can get rid of fruit flies with it. You can get rid of aphids. And then keep bouquets of flowers fresh longer, and it even cures mange on dogs. Wow, isn't that just amazing? Like all these benefits, and I bet you guys didn't even know half of those. I mean, I've been researching colloidal silver for, like I said, 11 years I've been taking it. And I just wanted to share all that information with you because it's super important to see all the benefits that you guys could be utilizing. So, isn't silver a heavy metal? You know, that's what some people like to ask. Another form of propaganda, really, by the mainstream media. Silver is included in the group of noble metals, and a noble metal is a metal that is resistant to both corrosion and oxidation when exposed to the air. Heavy metals, though, are highly poisonous, and some heavy metals, as well as some of the noble metals, they're essential for human health, but can be toxic in larger amounts or in certain forms. So you just have to be wary of what you're taking and how much. Silver has been used in combination with mercury for amalgam fillings for decades. So that's where the confusion comes in. Silver stabilizes the toxicity of the mercury and it provides antimicrobial properties. That's why people associate silver with mercury poisoning, but it's not the silver. Trace amounts of silver are actually found naturally in humans and in animals. And it's used around the world to disinfect water and even in the drinking water on the International Space Station. So I want to give you guys an idea of how I take it. This is how I take it. It's not medical advice, of course, but this is how I've come to find that it works best for me. So when I first started taking colloidal silver, my kids and I would get sick all the time. So I needed it to boost my immune system. So I would start taking the 10 parts per million colloidal silver once a day, 1 ounce, just a shot every day, until I started getting healthier and I wasn't getting sick anymore. Now, for the past several years, I only take it when I feel a cold starting. So if I get like a slight tickle in my throat, my ears achy a little bit, sneezing or a headache, I will take it a different way because I want to halt it in its tracks. Okay. So then I only take it 1 ounce 3 times per day. And usually if I get myself right before I get full blown sick, if I just have the beginning symptoms of getting sick and I take it 3 times that day, that halts it in its tracks. That's the furthest that sickness ever goes. But if for some reason I'm full blown sick, okay, I'm already in the sick, I missed that little intro there where I could halt it in its tracks, then you have to really wage war on it because in your body will surround themselves with a fatty lipid layer of protection that the silver can't penetrate alone. So an acid is needed to dissolve this fatty layer. And a good acid to do the job is like a clear alcohol, like vodka or rum, or pure lemon juice or pure lime juice. So then when I am sick, I'm full blown sick, I take 1 ounce of silver with a splash of the acid, which I usually use pure lemon juice. And it's not that what's in that little lemon. That's not pure lemon juice most of the time. So just get a real lemon. So 1 ounce of silver with a splash of acid every hour until I feel better. And after about 7 hours, I feel a lot better. And by the following day, I'm typically 90% better if I follow this protocol by the following day. Now, when you do take it, you need to make sure that you take it with a shot glass or a plastic spoon because you don't want to use metal. It will deactivate the suspension of the silver particles in the water. And then like I said before, I like to add a splash to my animal's water bowl, and I found that it prevents the fleas as well as boosts their immune system. But you want to make sure that their bowl is not metal, which a lot of them are. So I went to the thrift store and found a really nice glass bowl. So this is the other story I wanted to talk to you about real quick about how I healed my dog's Lyme disease with colloidal silver. I had a 9-year-old yellow lab who I didn't know had Lyme's disease until he was in renal failure and his back legs had become paralyzed. He would just sit by the water bowl drinking, 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 drinking. He couldn't get enough. He couldn't walk. I had to pick him up and carry him outside and hold him up so he could go to the bathroom. And I didn't have the money to take him to the vet. So I started researching, and through my research, I found that the vet would just prescribe very high doses of antibiotics. And so I did this. I dosed him multiple times with colloidal silver. And within 3 days, he was eating again. And within a week, he was able to walk again. I mean, it was just amazing. Another way that I like to use it, I put it in a spray bottle with a splash of essential oil to make a non-toxic odor eliminating air freshener. Air fresheners are some of the most toxic things in your home. Um, I use it on my plants like I was telling you guys earlier as well. Now, when you store it, you want to store it in a dark room, not a dark room, but a dark place that's room temperature, away from the sunlight, away from electrical appliances as well. Now, guys, there's many companies who sell colloidal silver. Um, Make sure that a lot of you, I'm sure, know about colloidal silver and you're already taking it. But just make sure that these companies have the studies and the research to back up their product claims. Buying colloidal silver can be quite costly, with the average cost about $5 per ounce on average. So I recommend making your own with a microparticle colloidal silver generator from the Silver Edge. That's what I purchased years ago. I think it was about $200 for the generator, about $100 for the rods, and that provided colloidal silver by the gallons for the entire year. I mean, and I was making it back to back to back. You can make gallons for pennies. And since it has so many beneficial uses, it just makes sense to do it this way. I recently, just recently, after 11 years of supporting this company, have become an affiliate for them. So you will be able to find my link in the description below. I will back them up because I know that it works. And I love this company, the Silver Edge. They have tons of research, tons of testimonials, tons of tutorials and support. But if you want to try a brand prior to investigating, prior to investing in a generator or something, I would try this Sovereign Silver, it's called. So you can buy Sovereign Silver, just go online. And I know Amazon has it. A lot of people don't like to use Amazon or whatever, but just look up Sovereign Silver, and we like the name of it too, guys. So um, this is how we take our health back. You know, this is just one of the many ways of how we take our health back. How many things on that list that I read earlier could you have prevented if you had your own colloidal silver? You know, this is how we take our health back, guys. So it's time to glow. Let's go. Thank you. Hold on, Robert. I'm trying to find you here.
Where
There
are
we
we?
I
There
found
we
you.
are. Now we're on the screen. Oh boy. A little lost in the new way. I haven't used the software a whole lot, but I'm learning. I'm learning.
Yeah, I should have moved that up there for you, made it a little easier, but I was a little long-winded today. My segment was a little longer than usual, but I love talking about the things that I'm passionate about, and I'm glad I had time to today because that
Yes.
is really one of the life-saving things that really saved me and my kids on our health. I don't go to the doctor. Colloidal silver has saved me a lot of the times because of that.
So it's a fabulous tool. I think it needs to be in everyone's tool chest. We've got it here all the time. All the time we have it. There's never a day we don't have both the liquid and the gel. So we've got it all the time too. It's real important for burns and all kinds of things we use it for. Yeah. Yeah. I agree.
Yep.
Good stuff.
My family likes to joke around because somebody will say, "Hey, what can I use for this?" And everybody's like, "Colloidal silver,"
That'll
because it
do.
is pretty much for everything.
Yep.
But thanks a lot, everybody. I have to go, so talk later.
Thank you, Lisa.
Bye.
Okay. All righty. That was Lisa talking about, hey, I want to talk to you about just one thing real quickly here. This guy is Thumper, but some people call him Trumper, Denise, and Lewis now calling him Trumper. I love that. He's 14 plus years old, and this guy this weekend did something kind of interesting. 6 gophers, 3 a day. Kind of interesting. What are we doing differently with him? Felt to me like he was at the end of the rope. He would stop eating. He wasn't drinking. He wouldn't get off the floor. He wouldn't move. And we thought, well, maybe it's time. He's, that age where he's a little bit older. And then Lewis said, hey, why don't you try him on the Pet Club 24/7 food? And I said, okay, we'll give it a shot. So I ordered some and gave it to him. And he didn't like it right away at first, but I mixed it in with his existing food. Cats are really finicky. And he started eating it. And within days, he was back to eating normally, and his energy came back, and the tumors, the bad guys. There's just so much we don't understand, right? The black box that they had, every ship has a black box, the same as an airplane. The ship didn't sink. It was very easy for them to go in there and remove the black box. The 2 crucial minutes that they needed were missing. How is that even possible? People are saying, well, it was a cyber attack. Maybe. The ship went the wrong way before making a U-turn coming back, and then turned at the last minute right into the pylon of the bridge. We don't really know what happened, but the aftermath is interesting. Because what they said was this is going to cripple shipping for years to come. I thought, wow, the port of Baltimore, fairly busy port, I think the second or third busiest port in America, is really going to cause a lot of damage. Well, we find out now, looking at a story today, that temporary shipping pathway to Port of Baltimore to be cleared after the bridge collapses. Now, what in the world are they talking about? The channel will be on the northeast side of the main channel near the bridge, and it's part of a phased reopening of the primary channel. Officials are taking the first step to reopen the Port of Baltimore by clearing a temporary alternate channel near the collapsed Francis Scott Key Bridge for essential commercial vessels. So what they're saying here is there's an area where they can clear enough of the debris, the water is deep enough, the bridge is gone on the top, so don't have to worry about that, and they can get ships through. Okay, it was supposed to be closed for a year. That's what we heard. Now the cranes are in there, they're cutting the bridge apart, they're getting pieces out, they're putting the pieces on barges, bringing them ashore, dismantling them, and they're going to go to recycling. So they've got the operation in high gear. I find that interesting, how quickly that they turned that around. Was it the media just exaggerating it for drama, right? Because everyone likes drama. Was it them? Was it them doing it for drama? Maybe. Maybe they didn't know. Maybe the experts they talked to didn't really know the extent of the damage, not realizing how much debris was down there. But it seemed like, well, maybe it's going to be a little while before they're able to clear a pathway to get those ships through. So here we are, a week and a half out, and they're saying, well, we're about to open up one lane that ships can get through. Okay, it's not everything. It's going to be slower, but they're going to have that opportunity to get those ships in and out, which is good because that whole area was crippled otherwise, right? A lot of ships trapped at sea waiting for access, and a lot of ships trapped in port, loaded up, ready to go. So I was looking at this story on the weekend, and I got to tell you, it is really confusing. The information that's coming out, none of it makes sense. The pieces don't seem to add up. Any way you look at it, the pieces are not adding up. So, do we know the full story? I'm going to say no, we don't. Do we know what really happened? I'm going to say no, we don't. And we're going to rely on the officials to tell us the official story. They'll make something up. like the 9/11 Commission made up a report and said this is the official recounting of what happened. It wasn't. It wasn't even close. So we're going to get that here? Yeah, I think we will. I think that'll end up being the case. It'll just be that at some point. And we're going to have to either accept it or not. And you and I, we're not going to accept it. Why? Because we're going to keep digging. We want to find out what happened. We want to know who was behind this. We want to know so that we can thwart any future attempts at this kind of thing. Now, I know over the weekend there were 2 other barges that hit bridges in this country. Is it a trend? I don't know. I don't know. Have to keep our eyes open, though, right? We have to be aware because we don't know what's going on. Now, there was a report saying it was a CCP that has the technology to remote control ships if they ever lose, their team. They can make the ship just do what they want it to do. So it's possible technology exists, and I talked about that with cars. It's the same thing. Cars can be hacked, right? So it's a possibility. I'm going to keep digging on this. If you guys find anything, please send it to me. I really want to learn more about this story. I mean, I've dug into it a lot, but there's always more to it, right? There's other pieces here that we're not privy to yet. We will, as you know, the internet buzzes and buzzes. And I'm going to tell you something really interesting too that I found. Remember Mike Johnson? A couple of weeks back, he said, what did he say about the January 6th tapes? They're coming out. Every day there's going to be more and more of them, only it never happened. But you've got all this other distraction now. Oh, the ship, the bridge, all these things distracting. The news pipeline is full of this stuff. What happened to the January 6th tapes? What happened to Mike Johnson approving the spending bill, the $1.2 trillion spending bill? Boy, that was in the media cycle. Boom, and it was gone. Funded the IRS, funded Ukraine, funded on and on and on. All the things we don't want. Where's the pressure on him? It was one day and that was it. It's gone now. Why? Because he got all these other distractions. So this is the game. This seems to be what's going on, is they're just putting these things one after another in front of us, and we're being distracted so that we forget what some of the bigger decisions have been, the things that we really need to be looking at. So I want you to be a little less distracted on a lot of these things and never lose sight of the ball, right? Just keep your eye on the ball. What do we really want here? We want the Biden administration gone, right? We'd like to see Trump back in power. And we'd like to take care of all these people who are doing all these crimes who never get punished. Never. It's got to change. They got to start being held accountable for their actions. So that's what we're looking for. And you know, somebody posted in chat, I was looking at the chat while Lisa was speaking, that it really is up to we the people. And you're right. At the end of it all, it is up to us. When enough of us stand together, that's why the unity is so important, and say no more, then it stops. Not going to happen before then. So yeah, we got a lot to do. All right, I'm going to skip ahead here real quick. And this was kind of interesting. I found this morning. Niagara region declares state of emergency out of caution ahead of the rare eclipse. Not that rare. It happened in 2017, the last time. Canada's Niagara region has proactively declared the state of emergency ahead of a rare total solar eclipse on April 8th that is expected to gather massive crowds in areas in and around the region's popular waterfalls. Okay, so the eclipse is going over Niagara. You call it a state of emergency. The Niagara region said in a statement on Thursday that Regional Chair Jim Bradley had declared the state of emergency out of an abundance of caution. Declaring a state of emergency strengthens the tools the region has at its disposal to safeguard the health and safety of residents and visitors and protect our critical infrastructure in any scenario that might arise. Now, think about this. Protecting the infrastructure is probably the most important part of that paragraph. You've left that out. Forget about the health and safety of the visitors. You know what? Niagara's a tourist attraction. People are there all the time. They can handle huge crowds. There's always, field trips. I went on field trip to that when I was in school. So it happens. They're used to that. That's not out of the ordinary. Everyone's coming to see the eclipse. Okay. damage to the infrastructure is really what you want to lift out of that and go, what's really going on here? What are they expecting? I think they know more than they're telling us. I think there's more here, than they're letting on to. I was talking to some of my intuitive friends, and they were saying clearly there's something coming. April 7th, April 8th, April 9th, somewhere there's going to be an event. We may or may not see that event. It may be hidden, but something's coming. I don't know what. So just be ready. Whatever it is you need to do to get yourself ready, probably a good idea. It takes police an average of 10 minutes to arrive after a 911 call. It takes an hour or more here where I am. You are your own best defense. And I think that's really true. I think in a situation like we're seeing now, and we're seeing a lot of these gangs going in, and we were talking about this just earlier this morning. These Chilean gangs are taking advantage of the U.S. visa waiver program, and they're coming into the U.S. just to burglarize luxury homes. So I find that interesting when you look at this. You say, okay, so the U.S. Visa waiver program allows tourists they call them, to enter the United States for 90 days or less. The gangs are very well equipped and use Wi-Fi jammers to disrupt security systems. The international thugs recently robbed a neighborhood in Michigan and stole $800,000 in jewelry and cash from a single home. They are super well trained when they get here, highly organized. They look like ninjas. They're all masked up, gloves. They have a backpack with their particular set of tools for their job in the burglary. The Oakland County Sheriff Mitchell Bouchard said, the gangs are targeting homes throughout the country, especially in Southern California, where we are. Interesting. Southern California, they arrest you as a homeowner. If you decide somebody broke into your home and you say, well, I'm glad they didn't because they'd be in jail. Bad guys don't go to jail anymore. Our system's a little bit backwards, won't you say? I'm looking at it, I think it is very backwards. Yeah. So protect yourself, protect your family. And one of the things they mentioned in that clip was make sure your stuff is wired because they're using Wi-Fi jammers. So if you have a burglary system or a burglar alarm system, a lot of them today are wireless, right? The last one I had was all wireless. So if it's wireless and they're using a wireless jammer, it no longer works. They stop the signals from getting through. If it's wired, harder for them to do. So if it's possible to get a wired system, probably that's the way you want to go. All right. This one's kind of interesting, not in a good way. Iran vows harsh retaliation after an Israeli airstrike destroys the Tehran, that's Iran, consulate in Syria. Iran has promised to launch a harsh retaliation against Israel after an airstrike destroyed its consulate in Syria, Iranian Ambassador Hussein Akbari said before condemning Israel and vowing revenge on the strike at the same magnitude and the same harshness. So eye for an eye is what he's saying there, basically, right? So you strike us, we're going to strike you. Why is Israel escalating? Maybe that's the better question to ask here. Why are they escalating? Why are they going after the Iran consulate in Syria? I thought their beef was in Gaza. Again, we're not being told the whole story. There's more here than meets the eye. So I got to keep looking. I want to find out more about this. I want to dig into a little bit. It's confusing. Truthfully, you get a lot of reporters that report on the Middle East, and they know a little bit, but they don't know it all. And then if you get reports from the Middle East, they're extremely biased on one side or the other. So it's really hard sometimes to decipher what's real and what's not. But it's worth looking into because this is clearly an escalation, and we don't want an escalation. We have enough already challenges to deal with. And you notice it's not really in the American media. That was in the Daily Mail in the UK. Didn't see it on the US side. Didn't see it on our normal websites. So I brought it to your attention because there's a lot of things popping in every different area. And we're so distracted with P. Diddy and stuff that's going on here. And now I think Taylor Swift is involved, and there's all this stuff that's going on. It's just the drama that keeps us from what's important. I don't focus that much on the drama stories. I go look for, okay, what's really happening? I want to know. You want to know. We have to be able to be prepared for what may or may not be coming down the pipe. So, is it pike or is it pipe? P-I-P-E or P-I-K-E? That's a good one. I don't know the answer to that one, friends. I don't know. Sometimes I don't know the answers to everything. All right. If you have not gone over to sbgascent.com, please do so now. This is one of the many products that Lance Shuttler and company has. This is a pine needle extract, which promotes healthy respiratory function, similar to what you would see with colloidal silver. This is just different. Supports a healthy immune system, assists brain and nervous system health, hint, 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 supports a healthy detoxification process. Lance is known for amazing products. I mean, he is a stickler when it comes to quality. He will source things and source things and source things and throw a lot of it out that doesn't meet his quality standards. So when he puts a product together, it's top notch. And that's why we're very proud to support his company. sbgascent.com is where you go, and it'll take you right to the homepage, and you will find lots of amazing products there. And the pine needle extract is just one of the great products that Lance has to offer. All right, kind of interesting. When you look at these numbers, this should wake you up a little bit. Only 38% of voters think, and they're going to do everything they can to make sure Donald Trump does not get in. And 3 weeks from now, there'll be a trial in New York City. And it's supposed to last 6 or 8 weeks, something crazy. So Trump's going to be off the campaign trail. He's going to be in court for 6 to 8 weeks fighting the Stormy Daniels thing in New York. Crazy. Charges, by the way, that are never brought against anybody. Trumped up charges, literally. Now he's going to be fighting this because they want to get one indictment to stick. They want a conviction. If they get the conviction, then they can go to the Constitution and say, we got the conviction. He can't run. He can't be president. That's what they're looking for. So keep an eye on that one. That's going to be something else. But here's the, Joe Biden. People are saying, hey, 38% of 2024 likely voters be alive at the end of a 4-year term. Only 38%. And that means one thing. Vice President Kamala Harris is just as likely to be in the top job as Biden come 2029 if he wins re-election. Some 36% of likely voters believe Harris will be president by the end of the term. The exact same proportion think Biden will be on the job. So, okay. So 38% say he'll be alive, and that's the same 38% that say he's going to win the election. I don't know where these people come from. I don't know where they find them. I don't know what news they're listening to, but oh my, pretty scary. Look around. Go buy some food. Go buy some gas. Go look at the number of crimes that are being committed and not prosecuted. Just look at New York City. Beautiful city. It's trashed. Look at Chicago. Same thing. Look at San Francisco. Trashed. Really? You want 4 more years of this? I don't know who these people are, but we need to reach out to them somehow. Yeah, age is going to be a major factor. There is no question in my mind that age will be a big factor in the election upcoming. So keep your hats on, people. It is April 1st. March was a turbulent month, to say the least. We had covered so many stories and so many more got left on the cutting room floor that we could have covered. And I'm seeing already there's a major shift, right? The end of March is a major shift in the last few days of March. And now we're in April, and we're expecting even bigger things. We've got the first thing on the clock is this Eclipse issue coming up. It doesn't make sense. CERN is firing up their reactor, and NASA's going to be firing rockets at the. How do you fire rockets at the Eclipse? The thing's moving all the time. What are they doing? It's like none of it makes any sense. Why the National Guard? Why were they bringing in military-age men, according to Neumi Wolf from the Netherlands? I don't know. We'll keep an eye on it. We'll bring you what we find out as we go forward here. The 8th is only 7 days away. That's pretty quick. That'll be next week. And, as we